France are Olympic champions, and this is Volleyball Explained Olympics Special, Day 15 of Tokyo 2020. France beat Russia in the final, in a dramatic final after a tiebreak, and Argentina beat their arch rivals from Brazil for winning a bronze medal, their first medal since 1988. And co-host today is the other usual suspect, Ronnie. Ronnie, thank you for being here. And firstly, how do you uh, how do you see what happened today? Because it was really a pleasure to watch all these matches, these two matches, and especially the final.
Thank you, Bogdan. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. The first thing that come to my mind is the word change. These times are changing. The usual suspects are no more. You know, when in every Olympic, USA, Italy, Russia, and Brazil used to cope the podium. Let's put it that way. And like it happened 21 years ago when Yugoslavia won the gold. Now you have a new country like France making history and taking the gold medal to home, and with a special meaning because the next Olympic will be there in France.
Yeah, I would actually divide this match into three parts. The first part is the first two sets won by
Mhm.
France. The second part is the third and the fourth set won by the Russian team, and the third part is the tiebreak. Why?
Mm.
I really believe that France was really the better team in the first two parts. They were blocking and defending very well. They were reading the game of Igor Kobzar, the starting setter of Russia, very well, and they were just uh, succeeding in countering the game of Russia in a very successful way. Then things changed, especially in my opinion, with the inclusion in the game of Pavel Pankov, the reserve setter of the Russian team. France made some mistakes, and I believe that also Yaroslav Podlesnik entered the game, and it was deservedly two sets for Russia, and probably people would have said that they were the favorites in the tiebreak, and they actually started the tiebreak very well. I believe 6-3 or 6-4. I'm not exactly sure what was the result, but still. And then something just broke, and they started making errors, and that's why I would divide this into a third part where Russia was more making errors than France was that good. Of course, we had great an ace from Patry, great plays from Ngapeth, but these errors, I believe. Yakovlev sent one ball, a very easy one out. The last one in the match from Maxim Mikhailov. They just made too many mistakes, and that was too much in the end.
Oh, but I think Russia wasn't prepared to play a tiebreak game. They thought that the game will be decided in three or four. Maybe four is the number of average, or uh, let's say correct prediction for almost everyone that's watched this sport. But when they lose the first two, they face the wall, and well, start to make changes, because if they didn't make changes, the game will have been end in three sets. Of course, you mentioned the enter of the Pavel Pankov, the setter of Dynamo Moscow. And I think in terms of technique and speed, and also serve, Pankov excels more than Kopshar. I really believe that Kopshar is only a starter because his relationship with the coach Samuel Wu. But yeah, that this was a game for Pankon and Pankon alone. He tried to reversed the situation, winning two sets, but with the help, of course, of Maxim Mikhailov, who was superb. I didn't like too much the performance of Kliuka today, as well Volkov that was sobbed in the first two sets. Shout out to Igor, Jaroslav Lodesky, who also play with Pankov in Dynamo Moscow. He was great in both games, semifinals and final. But like you mentioned, Russia lose the tiebreak in the small details. They enter the tiebreak 10 to 10 draw, and then like you mentioned, France got ahead, and that was all. Basically, Russia threw the game by mistake and after mistake, and yes, it was it was an strange game, and I didn't think that I will have I will see France in the final, and with a gold medal. That's my that's my conclusion. France, for me, was one of the possible candidates, but always behind of teams like Brazil, Poland, Russia, and then it comes a small group, and there was France with Italy, USA, uh, and and also them. So yes, like you mentioned before, this Olympic Games has been crazy. Very hard to predict all the results. Maybe those who were more easy, like Japan or Brazil, and Canada versus Russia. Maybe those, but Argentina, and we will talk about Argentina in few minutes. Was for me the the national team that is still the show.
Yeah, if we take it from a bookmaker's point of view, I would say the following thing: after the first three matches in the group stage, the defeat against the US team, the success against Tunisia, and the defeat against Argentina, I wouldn't say that someone will actually bet on France being the Olympic champion. Of course, I don't know what the coefficient was back that time, but I'm pretty sure that it was a very high figure. Now it's really interesting, and we mentioned that several times in the show. What actually changed the performance of France? Firstly, that was Antoine Brizard instead of Benjamin Tognuti, which is a little bit heretic to say, but it's really the truth. And the other thing is substituting Kevin Tilly, the son of the coach Warren Tilly, who is actually, let's say it here, leaving the team for Resende. That's another interesting story. But Kevin Tilly was substituted by Trevor Clevenot, and he started playing in a great way, even though his match today was not the best one, but still he delivered in some very important moments. And that was pretty much the key. And of course, after the match against Russia, and actually during the match against Russia in the group stage, which they won also, Earvin Ngapeth just woke up, and at the end he's the MVP of the tournament, and that's pretty much normal. He was just not there in the first three matches.
Like we mentioned before in our last podcast, we talk about the pair of setters that will were most rounded. Let's say more
All
the
around,
best pair.
yeah.
Yeah, the best pair of setter in terms of skills, defense, blocking, and all those stuff. And we mentioned that France had that pair. Sorry, that pair with Tognuti, who now end this excellent year with a goal in the Olympics after the Champions League goal, and of course he missed by an inch the Polish championship, but well, and the great Antoine Brizard with who is let's say, not so famous setter, but because he was playing in Russia. But after this season, everyone will get to know who is this guy. So he will to play in Italy for Piacenza. Uh, Also, are a great team. They are making off. And yes, he changed the course of France in the playoff, let's say playoff phase. First winning over Poland, a team that didn't have too much, let's say, holes in their system, and they really found a way to take Poland out of the contention. And this, for me, well, Poland, with Fred Leon playing really good and Kurek also playing really good, but they they knew the ways to beat them, and it happened. And after that, I knew that France will be in the finals, because when Italy lose versus Argentina, the celebration and the emotions got the best of the South American team. And I think because they are not used to this kind of playing semifinals of big tournaments and all of that, maybe they were a little bit unlucky in that semifinal, which France won 3-0 easily. And it's not that France also have playing semifinals and finals of tournament, but for example, this group had played in the Eurovolley finals and have won Eurovolley. Also, they have won finals of Olympic qualification tournament, for example, and they also have won the VNL, the World League, for example.
Or
So
yes.
they have experience. Maybe they don't have the same group, but men's like Tonyuti, Ngapeth, Genia, Grebenikov, that's the core of the team. Then you have Jean Patry, who even with his age, he managed to play like he were, I don't know, the best version of Gran Borca when he was playing for France national team. Even though Gran Borca was outside hitter, and first he was a middle blocker. But and of course we cannot forget about Barthélemy Chinenisse, who was key in the net protection, and in the defense, and the block. And yes, man, I mean, it could have been France or it could have been Russia. Let's say that
Yeah, for
that
sure.
that maybe a more realistic outcome would have been Russia. But the final, you have to play the finals last. No, you don't play finals, you win finals. Like Luis Aragonés, the former coaches that passed away a long time ago of Spain said. So you have to win finals. You don't play finals. So it is what it is. I feel sorry for men like Mikhailov, who I think it will be his last Olympic. We have to let the new generation of Russia take his place. But this is a team of Russia, very, very young. They are still very, very young, and they will, let's say, hit their prime in the next Olympics. When
Yeah,
those guys, when those guys reach 28, 29, that's the really the good age to become champion or something.
yeah, they still have a very good substitution even for the position of Mikhailov as Viktor Poletaev. I just like to mention just one more thing about Russia. And the Russian type of volleyball was always famous, popular with their serving and blocking, and they were blocking pretty good today. But the serve was only one ace for 5 sets, and this is just a very surprising figure to have. Still, of course, I'm not saying that aces are the only important thing, but most of the time the side out of especially in the first 2 sets, of the side out of the French team was very good, and that was also a function of the fact that the serve of Russia uh, was not working, and yeah, Mikhailov has a great serve. Of course, we have expected more than Kluka's serve, from Volkov serve, of course, who can also hybrid serve. So that was a thing that was in France's favor. Okay, I believe that was pretty much for this unbelievable final. France is the world champion
Mhm.
in indoor volleyball, and this is really something.
For the first time in history,
Yeah,
we have a new champion.
yeah, we have a new champion. We have actually a new medalist, because France didn't win either a medal in general. That was their first ever medal in indoor volleyball, and that was uh, actually interesting. Just to add it here, that today France won two gold medals in collective sports. They also won the final
Handball,
in handball, and also they were defeated by very in a very difficult match for the US team in basketball. So it's really a very successful Olympic Games for the French collective sports. Okay, let's go to the match for the third place, for the bronze medals. Argentina won the bronze medals in Seoul 88 with Hugo Conte, the father of Facundo Conte, and 33 years later, Facundo Conte won also a bronze medal from the Olympics, winning against Brazil 3-2, and in a very uh, curious fashion, in a very emotional fashion. After the end of the match, in the court, they were singing Brasil de Chime que se siente, or the very famous Argentinian fans song, Brazil, tell me how are you feeling? And that was really, in my opinion, it will be one of the most remembered moments from this Olympic Games. What do you think about this match?
Well, after the defeat of Brazil versus the ROC or ROC, Russia, I have my doubts, because if we watch volleyball, we all know that Brazil doesn't like to win the bronze medal. They don't like that color. They only aim for gold, and the goal is the only objective when they come to the competition. But this wasn't any medal. This was an Olympic one, and you have to wait 4 years to have a shot for this kind of Olympic, and it's not a World Championship, it's not BNL, it's not South American Championship, it's an Olympic medal, and I think the Argentina team wanted that more. They
Agree,
play
totally.
like Brazil used to play versus Russia versus Italy or something, but in finals. So that's Argentina. That was Argentina mindset, and they lose the first one. Sorry, they won the first one very close, 25-23. And I thought after the second set, when Brazil won 25-20, that that will be all. Brazil will take control. They also won the third, but in the fourth set, we saw another Argentina with a different approach to the game, and we saw a Brazil with many holes into their reception line. They bench Leal for, well, Leal didn't end the game. Was subbed by Douglas Sousa, which I think it might be like I told you before, or maybe it was in some of my podcasts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Douglas is a guy for not for finals game. He is a guy to sub for Leal in games when Leal isn't too good. But like for example, Tunis, USA, that those kind of game in phase group, maybe
Yeah.
Japan, but this was a final, and you have to put into consideration that it was because Leal than Brazil were in the Olympics, because Leal was the main reason that Bulgaria didn't make it into the Olympic Games. when the qualifying tournament happened
I was there.
in
I was there. It was very painful, very much.
uh, and I don't know if because Leal is in 100% Brazilian, he is Cuban also, but I don't think he was the main reason to Brazil defeat. Brazil was lose the game because they didn't want the bronze like Argentina want. So
Yeah, I would
that's my
like to.
opinion.
I would like you. I would like to ask you one thing. Actually, I totally agree with the fact that Brazil didn't want it that much as the Argentinians wanted. But from the looks of the Brazilian players, especially Bruno, but also Carelli and
At the beginning of the set, they were just
yeah, but
wanting to the game ends and go home. You know.
the game was pretty even in the tiebreak. Actually, Argentina started with a difference, with an advantage, but then Brazil got back into the game. But do you think that actually the fact that the origin or the nature of Brazilians are very motivated, not because of the fact they're playing for the bronze medal, but because of the fact that they're playing against Argentina, and we know that the relationship between the two countries in sport, especially in sport. But
Uh,
Leao,
well,
as a not original Brazilian, but as a Cuban, probably doesn't feel it in the same way. And do you think that that could be a probable reason for not being that motivated in this game and actually having a very weak game?
I don't think so. I think Leal wanted that medal because as a Cuban, you know that we have very few chances to participate in the Olympics due to our problems with the federation. And after so long, he have the chance to fight for a medal. And I don't think he didn't want it. Of course, he wanted, but I don't really like it, the options of Coach Renan suing Leal. And at the end of the game, you have very young people out there like Kashopa who didn't won any Olympic medal yet. Lucarelli won gold, but he was too young. Maybe he wanted also a second medal. Alan Sousa also was there, and he didn't won any medal. So I think it was too close because the substitution people, of course, Douglas won a medal, but when he had like 29 years, 19 years, and I think they were so close because the young people wanted that. You know, they really wanted. But like you say, the biggest weapon in this game for Argentina after the check, of course, was the performance of Agustin Loser over the net, frustrating the chances of players like Lucan, for example, who is very deadly at the 3 meter, at the zone three, and he managed to block. I think twice or three times Lucan, and he making look frustrated, and also Lucao send many balls to the green zone, making a lot of errors.
Yeah.
But yes, the performance of Loser for me was a very very good one. Yes, that's resumed the game of Argentina versus Brazil. And of course, when we say Brazil didn't want it, we are not taking away the honors to Argentina. Of course, they play better. The numbers shows that even with let's say 20, 22 errors on serve, Argentina managed to win the game. So that's something really interesting. They give a lot of free points to Brazil, but at the end, 17 blocks Argentina, 10 Brazil, and that's the path of the game, the blocking, and And yes, Argentina won, like you said, a medal 23 years after.
Yeah, 33, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was in
from
Seoul.
yeah, so it's from Seoul. I'm also interested that Lucas Saadkamp didn't have a good tournament, at least in my opinion. He scored 7 blocks, I believe, against the team of France in the group stage. But still, I believe that he was not Lucas we all know, because we all know Lucas mostly as an attacking spiker, as an attacking middle blocker. That is a little bit paradoxically sounded, but still, but I don't think Bruno used it in that efficient way as in previous times. So I believe that this is something that also hurt Brazil chances
Uh,
for something bigger in this Olympic Games.
Loser ends the competition with 22 blocks. The leader, Lukas Atkan, was second with 21, and Ivan Yakolev also went 21. And you have Chinese and Legov with 20 each. And the other middle blocker of Brazil, well, sorry, the other man of Brazil with good numbers is Wallace de Souza. So you only had one middle blocker of Brazil doing all the job, and you cannot expect. I mean, Brazil individually play a bad tournament. They didn't end. They didn't end a game 3-0. Only those who were easy rivals like Japan and Tunis, but they didn't sweep the floor with France. They didn't sweep the floor with Argentina, and of course United States and Russia. They didn't beat Russia in the year. They played 3 times. Both all the 3 times Russia won,
Yeah,
and I think they need to look in the volleyball program, because it is the first time in many years that Brazil only won a medal in volleyball, and will be the till now the silver medal of the girls. They didn't want anything in beach. They didn't want anything in men's, and this is very interesting to see a team like Brazil in men that after I don't know 4 Olympic games and out of the podium is something that they have to really look at for it. And yes, that's my
yeah.
conclusion.
Probably, I don't need to ask you what are your expectations for the tomorrow's final between the teams of USA and Brazil.
On paper, USA have a better team, but we all know the record in Olympic finals between USA and Brazil. The girls of Brazil had won two times gold, and the opponents were always USA. So of course, I really believe that those teams that won gold were better than this one. Maybe they don't have Sandara, but they have Rosa Maria, and she's a good player. I really think so. But United States just have more weapons to kill the game, maybe in 3 or 4 sets.
Okay, at the end of this episode of Volleyball Explained Olympics Special, actually the penultimate episode of the show. Tomorrow is the last game of the Olympics. Let's mention also the final results in the men's tournament in beach volleyball with the Norwegians Mol and Sorum winning, of course, the tournament, beating the Russians Krasilnikov and Stoyanovsky
Knows? Uh,
2-0, and
uh-huh.
the Qataris Sherif and Ahmed, who are actually Senegalese and a Gambian, beat Province and Tox, the Latvians, in the bronze medal match. Actually, it's interesting that as I could check, in no one of the men's uh, either quarterfinals, semifinals, or final matches, there wasn't a single match which ended in more than 2 sets. That meaning 3, of course. So that's a very interesting story. All of the matches were straight sets for the winners, and congratulations for Mol and Sorum, who are pretty much the favorites in this tournament, and they were really good. I watched partially this match, and I saw
Yes,
some really good blocks by Mo and really
defense
good.
too.
Yes, and I was very impressed, very much impressed by one of the Sorum's short diagonal attacks, which was yeah, pretty much unbelievable. Okay, thank you, Ronnie. I'm sure that
Very much.
together with Nicola, we are going to do a traditional podcast, the three of us talking about what everything that happened in the Olympics, but also our expectations for the upcoming very soon after 10 days Euro Volley Championship in women,
Mhm.
which will be held in Serbia, Croatia, Bulgaria, and Romania. And I hope that you, the spectators, have enjoyed this episode. I hope that you've enjoyed the men's
Just
tournament.
to
Yeah,
yes,
please.
just to end this last entrance to the main competition. Brazil is only 14 points away of Poland in the world ranking, and we remember they have a good run in the BNL, but all those points dropped. Now they are below the 400 points mark, and now Poland is the second team in the world, and Russia came out to the third position. The fourth is France, and I think France has shown that they could be in the top three. And of course, the team that didn't improve so much was Italy. If we do a comparison between this tournament and the BNL, of course Argentina go up 2 or 3 spots, and now they are sixth place. So we have the Olympic podium, France in fourth place of the world ranking, Russia in third place, and Argentina is now the sixth in the world. We also remember all the followers that we will have the Eurovolley, as Bodan says, and the best two teams in each continental championship will qualify directly to the Russia World Championship next year. As for the rest of the team, will be taken out of the ranking at the end of this year. So that's the qualification way that FIP come out for this World
Yeah,
Championship.
that was really useful for the forwards. I honestly say that I also was not aware of that of these details. So thank you very much also by my side
Welcome.
for this information. I'm sure that we are going to have a also very emotional and exciting European championship in women. I hope that I'm going to watch at least one match live, but I'm not really sure for now. But still, I hope that I'm going to do this. Okay, thank you. Thank also to the spectators for watching or listening to this episode of Volleyball Explained Olympics Special. Write your comments for your analysis, your opinion for today's finals, especially for the big one between France and Russia. France is the Olympic champion. Au revoir, and see you the next time to a bientôt.
Bye bye.